The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake, but the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect, but they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights roll back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still, just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just stay on pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright, cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace, and those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. 'Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
Welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, talking on the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. When we open up the phone lines, we'll show up the number up on the screen, and you can feel free to call in. It's 562-LIB-DAN1, 562-LIB-DAN1, 562-542-3261. Otherwise, you can just leave your comments in the chats, either the YouTube channel on liberaldanradio.com or twitch.liberaldanradio.com, which is obviously the Twitch channel. Support the show. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe. Make sure to get your friends to subscribe. I'd really love to have a goal of reaching at least 3,000 subs by the end of the year. Not in a kinky way, but, in a regular subscription way. Anyway, that would be a lot of subs to have, wouldn't it be? You can also support the show monetarily. Venmo Liberal Dan. Go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me Cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio. Either way, we'll get you there to do one-time donations, or you can also become a Liberal Dan Radio patron, patreon.com/liberaldan or patreon.liberaldan.com. Either way also gets you there. Have some other content on there if you wanted to see the X-rated roast that ChatGPT made of me. That is only available currently on the Patreon website, patreon.liberaldan.com. You could also go to store.liberaldan.com, and that will get you one of the two shirts, either the FDT t-shirt or the Al Gore Needs More Rhythm. Let's see. Just hear me. Let's see. Yeah, it's probably a sound setting. Input. Let's jump that up there. Hopefully that does the trick. Oh, that's actually the wrong... Oh, no, that's the right one. Okay, it should be better now. We'll see. Anyway, so for some reason, I mean, this is the new laptop that I've had for a little bit. For some reason, Windows just still likes to change the audio settings on me on the fly, and it's aggravating, and it pisses me off. Anyway, thank you for letting me know, Jolie and Aaron, the best mods in the universe. Thank you. Big love to the mod squad. We got Jeff in the chat from... just north of Uranus. We got Steve from across the pond.
It's no Scottish, it's crap.
That's correct. We got Teresa. CR is also in the chat. Who else have I missed? Let's scroll down here. People might still be meandering in. Alton Gillespie, Progressively Independent, both in the chat as well. Thank you for joining. Mr. Spock, live long and prosper. Who else? I think we got... Josh is here as well. Good to see you, Josh. Hurry back there, Jeff. Today is Bastille Day, but today is also Con Air Day. Put the bunny in the box. Anyway. My birthday is July 14th. My dad is being released from on July 14th. My dad is coming home on my birthday. Anyway. Happy birthday, Josh. You were born on Bastille Day and or Con Air Day and Nicolas Cage's Child's Day from Con Air. Anyway, so Con Air, good guilty pleasure movie that I like to watch. But yeah, it's also Bastille Day. What an appropriate time to have Bastille Day. Both because of the fact that, that's how they got rid of a king. The king has kneeled to let his kingdom rise. I don't know if Big Hook, Josh is 49 now, welcome to the club. Big Hook's not here yet, but, I'm sure he would know these lyrics, otherwise might as well. For they marched up to Bastille Day, the guillotine claimed her bloody prize. Hear the echoes of the centuries, power isn't all that money buys. So, thank you for Rush to those lyrics, not Limbaugh, but the band, the much better one. Hey, Suzanne, good to see you. I would not try and do Geddy Lee. Really, I would not do Geddy Lee justice. Hal does a pretty good Geddy Lee, but I don't think I would do it. I don't want to blow out your eardrums or whatever. Also, since it's Josh's birthday, like we like to do on Liberal Dan Radio, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Josh, happy birthday to you. And many more. Anyway, so thank you for joining us on your birthday. Hope you get everything you want and more. Good things, at least. And of course, we've still got the Epstein drama going on ever since Donald Trump has claimed that, or Donald Trump's administration has claimed that, there's nothing to see here, nothing anymore. Epstein apparently didn't kill himself, and there's no client list. But again, if there's no client list, why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison? Why did Epstein kill himself? Worth that much money? But there's no client list. If there's no client list, there's no clients. If there's no clients, there's no crime. So why the hell would he kill himself? Which just further goes to show that one thing I agree with a lot of conservatives on is that Epstein didn't kill himself. The one thing that they're not quite there yet when it comes to, this whole thing is to why this administration is not releasing it. And the answer should be clear to everybody. The only logical reason to not release the files is if you're in them. It's as simple as that. And it was funny, earlier today I did call in a Jeff Carrera show again. I don't have that clip particularly. I do have another clip from Jeff's show, which is, we'll play in a few minutes. But I started off talking about that, and he goes, well, why didn't Joe Biden release the list if he had it and the list was there? I don't know, but it allowed me to segue it into the whole thing. You know, the other topic that I was going to call in and talk to Jeff about, which is the whole Donald Trump using Shylock. But here's something that, I'm clearly politically much more left than Joe Biden was. There are some things that I wish Joe Biden did differently when it came to his, policies that he stood for. I wish he would have been a little harder and harsher on Netanyahu. Obviously, he was doing some things behind the scenes that, and we were not used to having a president that did things behind the scenes. We were used to a president after 4 years who would do everything out in public like an immature man-child. However, when it came out that Donald Trump said the term Shylocks in referring to corrupt, greedy bankers, it also came out that Biden once used the term Shylock. And had I known that way back when, I couldn't have supported him in the primary. I would have been much more gung-ho in support of the people running against him. This is not to say that I would have voted for Trump, because clearly I would have never voted for Trump, even though my vote in Louisiana really doesn't matter. However, if you use the term Shylock, I don't think you should not serve in public office at all. If you use it to refer to, especially using the term, if you say the word in, quoting other people and being like, this is a terrible thing, obviously, or if you're like, doing a presentation on, the Merchant of Venice, again, reasonable. But if you're calling people Shylocks, and especially if those people that you're calling Shylocks are greedy bankers, then you're not a good person. You're not okay, and I'm not okay with you. And if you're serving in that high of an office and you claim to not know, you don't have the academic background or the intelligence, in my opinion, to serve in the position. So either you're an anti-Semitic a-hole, or you are not informed about things that perhaps you should be informed about and shouldn't be serving in office. So I would have been absolutely, supportive of the other people in the Democratic primary in 2000, instead of being, maybe I would have been as harsh on, at the time, California AG Harris. Maybe I would have, been a little more gung-ho and talking about other candidates. Maybe I would have been a little more vocal about supporting Bernie instead, even though Bernie screwed up in the campaign too. But again, you're not going to get me to, I'm not going to be a hypocrite on this. I try not to be a hypocrite of anything in my life. And I hadn't heard back then when Biden did it. But now that I have, he can go F himself too. Because again, all using the term Shylock does is help to perpetuate the idea that Jews are greedy, Jews, hoard money, Jews are, all of the horrible things that that stereotypically we are assaulted with all the time. And we have a hard enough time as it is with these conservative a-holes doing it, that we don't need Democrats either. So I'm going to criticize both of them for using the term. So, yeah. Don't come at me. And I was waiting for Jeff to be able to say that too. So I led with Biden saying it because I wanted to make sure, but Biden said it too. No, F you. I now that I know that Biden did it, F him, and Trump did it, F him. Of course, he doesn't want to let go of he's supportive of Israel. Trump supports Israel, so therefore he's pro-Jew. No. There are many reasons to support it. Richard Spencer frickin' supports Israel's right to exist. You can't tell me that Richard Spencer is a friendly to Jewish people. He's a frickin' Nazi. We have too many Nazis in this country, including one President Donald Trump. Because he is doing all this crap, including opening alligator Dachau, which other people call alligator Auschwitz. Again, as we talked about on the previous show, Dachau would be a more appropriate. But one of the things that I'm talking about, when some of these people, I have people I went to high school with, people on my Facebook friends list who just don't want to pull the trigger, so to speak, and be able to say, hey, this is Nazi shit. This is not, they won't say it. They can't bring themselves to say it. Even though we're raising the flags, we're ringing the bell, we're blaring the siren that, hey, this is Nazi shit. And we can't be doing this. We can't make the same mistakes. But one of the problems with a lot of the, so-called moderates out there and a lot of the people in the mainstream media is they don't want to call things Nazi until you get to like 1944 Nazis instead of, 1933 Nazis, when Dachau opened. They refuse to see it. Even though, Laura Loomer, again, said, it's 65 million free meals for the Hispanic people, which clearly shows that she wants to eliminate all of the Hispanic people in this country and feed them the fucking alligators. But that's not Nazi shit. That's not enough Nazi shit. So at what point, I would ask anybody who balks at calling this Nazi, who balks at calling them concentration camps, who balks at making any sort of comparisons, what's it going to take? I want to know. If you're a conservative listening to my show, I want to know. I want you to call in. I want you to be the first people to call in when I open the phone lines. And I want you to let me know, what will it take for you to call out Nazi BS? Because look, I'm not somebody who's going to sit here and explain, and just tell people like, oh, Nazi this, Nazi that. I'm not going to allow people to use the term Nazi all willy-nilly. It's a very powerful term. It's a very important thing to not get wrong. And when leftists and liberals and progressives and other people called like George W. Bush a freaking Nazi, nope, was not going to do that. When they called Obama a Nazi and like had pictures of him dressed up in Hitler's garb at the Tea Party rallies, nope, not going to go for that either. No, can't go for that. No can do. Because when you make the charge that somebody's being a Nazi, you need to make sure that it's, believable. And you can't sit here and just say, oh, well, everything. Because if everything is Nazi, then nothing is Nazi. But here's the thing. Because again, boy who cried wolf. Now, conservatives, again, don't understand the story of the boy who cried wolf. To conservatives, the boy who cried wolf is, if somebody lies, you should keep believing them just in case they tell the truth the next time. But in reality, it's you tell a lie too many times, people won't believe you. You call people Nazis when they're not Nazis too much, they won't believe you when you really have Nazis marching down the streets. Well, now we have it. And we have people in the media who won't recognize, who'll just be wishy-washy on it. Like, I was listening to some other radio station today, and the guy this radio station has a bunch of moderate folks, but it's not like, we agree with the liberals on something, we agree with the conservatives on something, is we are wishy-washy and don't want to pull the trigger and call this what it is until you have absolute proof. Like, they would have to be standing there in front of Alligator Dachau or whatever. They would have to be standing there and literally watching the people do, exterminating people, in order for them to, actually say, oh, well, maybe this is Nazi. No. You call it out at the beginning so it doesn't get that bad. Let's see. Atrocious Any for Game got here. Which term? The term is Shylock. The Shylock term is what Biden and Trump both used. Biden used it, I think, when he was VP. Trump used it just the other day. Also says it was Nazi shit from the moment Elon, Bannon, and some other a-hole did literal Nazi salute. Even the ADL had to retract their defense of Elon. But it was Nazi shit way before that. I mean, when Donald Trump campaigned on, a total and complete ban of Muslims entering this country, which is literally what he campaigned on. He read his own press release at a press conference. That was Nazi shit. When he called people the fake news, when he called the media fake news, that's just what Hitler did. Hitler called the media the lying press, or in German, the Lügenpresse. He called them that. Why? Because he didn't want people believing the press. So basically he said, anything the press says about me is going to be wrong. They're going to be lying, so don't trust them, don't believe them. So they'd be like, oh, okay, well, here they are. They're saying all these things about him. Well, they obviously must be lying because he called it. No, he wants you to not believe the media. And it's not that I don't want you. I mean, I criticize the media not because I don't want you to believe them. It's because I want them to stand up and have have backbones, have spines, to do things that they need to do and report the actual news instead of being wishy-washy on the bullshit. So, but yeah, tons of stuff from history, from all of Trump's, now 8 to 12 now years or whatever in politics, whatever it is you want to call it now, a little less, I guess. At least 10 years, I would say, because I think he came down the escalator in 2015, right? So have a safe bike ride home, Suzanne. Impeccable Living is in the chat.
Oh my.
Good to see you, Impeccable Living. But yeah. See, Big Hook, Biden profusely apologized after the faux pas. It was a generational slip-up of not knowing the origin of the word. My point is that he should have known the origin of the word, being that high up. That's my point. I'm not going to sit here and excuse it. Ignorance is not an excuse. He should have known. He should have understood. He should have done something. No, my grandparents loved him. Loved Joe Biden. I don't know if they knew that he ever used the term. I would like to think that if they did it, he would have been a little more vociferous against him. Does that make Biden better than Trump? Sure, because Trump will never apologize for anything wrong that he does. He'll never admit that he does wrong. He'll never say he does wrong. At least Biden apologized for it. But that still doesn't mean that I have to sit here and be like, okay, I'm okay with it now. Because he should have known. He should have known. Like, to me, I'm not going to say it's exactly the same as dropping the N-bomb and not claiming to not know that it's offensive. But it's similar. There's enough similarity there where you should know to not use certain terms against certain groups. There are slurs that refer to Hispanic people. There are slurs that refer to Jewish people. Like, I mean, what if he dropped the slur for Jewish people that starts with K? I don't want to get banned on either of these things. So even though I'm Jewish, I'm not going to say it specifically. What if somebody said that? Then they apologize afterwards? No. You should know that those words are not okay. And there's so many people know about all of the, I mean, he should know about, how Jewish people are viewed as being, we're greedy, we're shysters or whatever. We're people who are going to take your money. He should have known. So to me, ignorance is not a freaking excuse. And I'm not going to back down on it. I'll say good for him for apologizing, but he should have known better. Because I'm not, we deal with too much shit as Jews in this country to just be like, oh, okay, it's fine if that person does it. No, we have to say no every single goddamn time. Because if we don't, who else will? There's an old Jewish saying. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, who am I? And if not now, when? And all of that applies to modern day completely. Completely to modern day what's going on. Because we have to stand up for ourselves because there's very few people who will. Look at all the criticism that, Jews get because of what is Israel's wrongdoings. Netanyahu does wrong. All of Judaism suffers because, again, we're held accountable for everything Jews do. And that's from the left and the right. But again, if I'm only for myself, who am I? That makes me a terrible person if I'm only for myself. If not now, when? Especially if you're not going to see when what's going on now is akin to what was going on in Germany in the 1930s, when will you? What's it going to take? I know I'm preaching to the crowd with most, if not all of you here, but, all of those things are apt. They apply in our everyday lives that we're going through. So, see, Roxanne says, Josh, did they ever take responsibility for anything negative? Most likely. The only time that Republicans ever take any sort of responsibility is like when they're leaving office because they're too afraid of their MAGA voter base. They're too afraid of the large portion, the basket of deplorables, as Hillary Clinton said. They're too afraid of those, of those people. Because they fear that if they go against the bigots in their base who are now empowered because Donald Trump's up there again, that they're not going to get elected. But they don't even use the ability to get elected to fight back and push back against anything that this idiot does. So, appreciate you, One Vision. Thank you for liking. Hey, Dawn, good to see you. Anybody else that I've missed? Jan, good to see you, Jan. Let's see who else who that I might have missed. I did say hello to Big Hook, but I acknowledged Big Hook. So hello, Big Hook. I don't know if you heard me quoting Rush earlier, but, you know, whatever. Allegedly, Lisa Murkowski didn't even regret her vote on the big bullshit budget-busting bill. Well, yeah. No, she looked like she did regret it. She looked like she was a deer in the headlights when they were asking her about it. Then she said, I hope the House of Representatives does the right thing. Well, why didn't you do the right thing, you dumbass? Republicans have no spine. They will not stand up and do the right thing, even when they know they're doing the wrong thing, because they're afraid they're going to lose their off. And then the only time that they actually want to start doing the right thing is when they plan to resign anyway. It's mind-numbingly annoying. So Susan Collins and her concern voted nay, probably only because she knew they had her votes in with Vance. Right, and that's the other thing. There are other 3 Republicans, I guess, in the House voted no. But were they vociferous about voting no? Were they trying their hardest to convince at least one more person or 2 more people to vote no? Or did they wait for the whip count to come out and say, okay, you 3 are free to vote no because we're fine? Because that's what happens all the time, is that you get the whip count, and then you're allowed to vote your conscience. You're not voting your conscience if you're allowing it to pass. It's not voting your conscience if you know it's going to pass, and you're just voting no just because now you can. Voting your conscience means going out there and aggressively fighting the horrible shit that this administration is trying to do. I'm angry today, can you tell? Again, you know, and then Trump, like, we all know that he has an executive order trying to eliminate birthright citizenship, and he thinks he won that, even though he really just won the Supreme Court basically saying that courts have to use discretion when making nationwide injunctions. But they still can do it. They just have to have a reason to do it and just can't, you know, they have to actually get up there and be like, okay, this is why it has to be a nationwide injunction and not just a local one. Of course, when it comes to things like, you know, eliminating birthright citizenship, you need to have that be a uniform law, because you can't have somebody born in one state and considered a citizen in one state who then moves to another state. Oh, not a citizen anymore. You can't do that. And then Donald Trump thinks that he can just revoke the citizenship of, you know, naturalized citizens with his Roger Stone bullshit. But, you know, the only way that you can revoke somebody's citizenship if they've been naturalized is if you can prove that during the naturalization process that they lied about something. If they had a material misrepresentation of what they were saying as to why they wanted to be a citizen or whatever, and they lied on their documentation, they lied on their paperwork, whatever, you can then rescind the granting of citizenship. But what you can't do is you can't revoke the citizenship of people who were born here who, you know, to U.S., you know, there's no difference between somebody who's born here, if you're to non-U.S. citizens, and born here to U.S. citizens. Then again, you know, most of Trump's children wouldn't be citizens if you wanted to follow Trump's rules. But hypocrisy is a conservative prerequisite. But Rosie O'Donnell was born in New York City. As far as I know, she was born to citizens of this country. Maybe she was born in New York State, not New York City. I don't know. She was born in New York. And now he's saying that he wants to revoke her citizenship? What? That's the only other time that you can do it. You can have your citizenship revoked is if it's shown that you actually took up arms or gave aid and comfort to the enemies of this country. That might be the only other way that you can that can happen. But that requires due process, something that this administration doesn't like, support, or whatever. But you can't just voicing your displeasure with the president isn't enough to make you lose your citizenship. And that's exactly what he's threatened to do with Rosie O'Donnell, which just shows that he is a giant man baby who can't handle criticism from the, you know, other side of the aisle. Can't even handle criticism from his own side of the aisle. His post on Truth Social, apparently, that was basically saying, why are you still talking about Epstein? Stop talking about Epstein? It was the first time in the history of Truth Social that you had a situation where one of the posts had more comments on it than likes. Because normally, everyone just likes the shit out of what Donald Trump says, and no one's willing to speak out against him. But people are starting to speak out. Again, MAGA is revolting against Donald Trump. Will Bastille Day come to pass here? Will it be the conservatives who are doing it? There's plenty of conservatives right now who are still outwardly voicing their displeasure over the fact that Bongiorno or whatever, Bangholio, him, other people promised to release the list and then failed to deliver. So there was one example such as this, and this is going to be, it's the first time in a little while I've had one of these. However, we did do a Words of Redneck Wisdom, and it was from one of the callers today. And it's actually somebody who I've used before for Words of Redneck Wisdom, because there's pretty much the same collection of callers that calls into Jeff all the time. This guy, I think he's from Indiana, and he called into Jeff's show. And let's take a listen, shall we, to it's a longer one than normal. I actually used more of the song. I still have about a minute left of song to make one. If I wanted to make it longer, I could have, but he has a couple of things, and it may very well be a Words of Redneck Wisdom where it's not actually me mocking the words of a redneck. It's me actually saying, wow, this person is almost there and almost getting it. So without further ado, let's listen to this week's Words of Redneck Wisdom.
And now, Words of Redneck Wisdom, brought to you by Liberal Dan Radio.
Well, I've seen on mass deportation, Jeff, and tell me if I'm wrong, has been all performative and controversy and drama to keep us watching the show. Lindsey Graham wants us to stay tuned for the number one war whore in history to strive for peace. You don't get peace when you keep endorsing Lindsey Graham, okay? Tell me if I'm wrong on another thing, Jeff. Didn't Kash Patel announce months ago that he was opening an investigation on Comey and Strzok?
Well, I know that they recently said that they were investigating Comey and Brennan. I don't know about Strzok.
What about a few months ago, Jeff, when he announced he was going to investigate Comey? Way before the Epstein drama.
Right.
You don't remember that?
I mean, I'm sure I do. I mean, I'm sure he said it. I'm not going to disagree with you, Mark. I think they've been claiming they're going to do that for a while.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Accountability. All we're getting is performative bullcrap, okay? What about the 500,000 Chinese students that's going to be coming over here still? I ain't heard nothing else about that.
Right.
Is Ghislaine Maxwell going to win on appeal now?
Well, I heard her case might be taken up by the Supreme Court. She's also offering to testify before Congress. And I think they should, put her under oath, let her testify. So,
well, if there's no evidence, how in the hell is she still sitting in prison?
Right. Well, a lot of people are asking that question. I mean, but over the past week, there have been lists of Epstein clients that have been released. The Wall Street Journal had done a report about it back in 2023. So they've been sites that have reposted those names. Gawker, one other thing, Gawker did a expose of the, quote, Little Black Book back in 2015. And
right,
one of the names,
NPA, right?
What
non-prosecution agreement and all that stuff sealed because of that. They're protecting somebody that tells you everything right there. I want
Who
to
are
see
they?
arrest, Jeff.
Who are they protecting, Cowboy? I mean, Mark. Who do you think they're protecting?
The pedophile elites.
Okay.
Themselves. They're protecting themselves. Okay. It's amazing that we're still accepting all this crap. Now, I voted for Trump 3 times. I still think Trump is just an egotistic, naive, when it comes to believing people that brag about him and fluff him up on the golf course and stuff like that. Or he's in on it. One of the two. He's on the list. One of the two. But if he thinks I heard him tell Lara, his daughter-in-law, that he wanted to be known as the man that saved this country. He's not going to save this country protecting the deep state. He said his revenge was gonna be success. He's not being successful.
And this concludes Words of Redneck Wisdom, brought to you by Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
All right there. So, I mean, I don't agree with, I don't know what he was talking about with the Chinese students, Jeff. I don't know exactly what it is he was talking about with that. That's like bizarre. And of course, he's not exactly, but I mean, he might be one of the ones that's almost there. He's almost there. Let's look over what all the things he said. Lindsey Graham, a war whore. Okay. I can't disagree with that. You don't get peace by endorsing Lindsey Graham. I agree with that. No accountability. It's all performative bullcrap. I agree with that. I mean, it's performative to them at least. But at least he's understanding the fact that what he's doing when it comes to immigration is not actually helping anybody. It's just harming people and it's just performative. He's going after the low-hanging fruit because it's easy to show on TV that, oh, look, I'm doing something. But there's a difference between doing something and accomplishing something. And if you want to actually solve a problem with people, crossing the border, you need to actually deal with the people who are crossing the border and want to do nefarious things and not go after the people who are picking fruit. Ghislaine Maxwell, will she win an appeal? No evidence. How is she sitting in prison? Don't disagree with that. They're protecting somebody, the pedo elite, themselves. Yes. Amazing we're still accepting all the... Yes, it is amazing that MAGA folks many are still accepting this crap. That's why I'm saying some of these people in MAGA are almost there. Trump is egotistical and naive. And he, likes people stroking his ego, amongst other things. That's 100% true. So either, and he gets the thing, either he's just believing people who's stroking his ego, or he's in on it. I mean, besides like Tucker Carlson, who else have we heard that, will say he might actually be in on it? It might actually be a cover-up. He might actually be part of the problem. He goes, Donald Trump is not going to save this country protecting the deep state. Well, he could have just said Donald Trump's not going to save this country because we all know that Donald Trump's not going to save the country. And he's not successful. If only more MAGA folks can understand that, maybe we would have our own Bastille Day here in these United States of America. Proverbially. That's another thing, though, it's interesting to talk about, is that, you have the conservatives who always talk about how you should have guns. The most important reason to have guns is to fight against government tyranny. But the moment somebody throws a rock at an ICE agent because they're doing BS like they did, by that one farm, going after, there's nothing illegal going on in a farm, but they still were bringing in trucks and helicopters and scaring kids away and all that crap. You throw one rock against one of those ICE agents acting unlawfully, and now all of a sudden, it's terrible, it's horrible. One of the same local people, those local moderates, who was like, if we do that, if we allow people to just, fight back against the police who are just doing their jobs, we lose as a country. No, we are lost as a country if we continue to have law enforcement that is going to continue to act above and beyond what their duty is. They're going to continue to act above and beyond and target people who need not be targeted. That woman here in Lakeview, the certain neighborhood of New Orleans, the Iranian woman who was detained and finally made it home, she didn't make it home because they're no longer investigating her. They're still investigating her. They're just letting her be at home while they're doing the investigation. And you have enough people acting like Nazi BS, doing Nazi BS, people are going to fight back against the Nazi BS. More people need to fight back against the Nazi BS. This same idiot, Newell Norman, used to be a sheriff, probably one of the reasons why he's being so pro-law enforcement. He used to be sheriff of Jefferson Parish here in Louisiana. He was out there just, bemoaning all this stuff. I'm like, no, dude, you're not getting it. You're not getting it at all. Whatsoever. It's crazy. Let's see. Donnie $2. Maybe the reason we're still talking about Epstein is because, one, your AG FBI is covering the files up. We have video records from Epstein saying you and him were best friends for 25 effing years. Exactly. Donald Trump, I don't know the guy. Well, why are you partying with him? Why are there plenty of videos with you hanging out with him, pointing at people and smiling and laughing or whatever? Probably people who are underage. I'll say Big Hook. They can't stand knowing someone more corrupt than themselves is out there, and they are privy to salacious details of the crimes accomplished. Well, one of the things that Newell Norman was basically saying is like, I'm not going to, unless I see it happening myself, I'm not going to do anything. That's the problem. You can't see everything by yourself, which is why we need more people in the media with spines and backbones who are less worried about ratings and more worried about actually getting information out to the people so that they can make an informed decision and not like being wishy-washy about the whole thing. That's why we need new media. That's why I say it over and over and over again until I'm blue in the face. It's terrible that we're still allowing this to happen. I mean, I was having a fight on my own freaking Facebook page with people who didn't want, who was like, and this person, somebody I know from high school, one of these people, her family's from Poland. She was born in Poland. So she apparently thinks that she's the authority on everything World War II, everything Nazi, everything concentration camp. You can't call this a concentration camp. You can't do that. Well, yeah, I can, because it is. You go to the Holocaust Museum's webpage. You look at the definition of what a concentration camp is. And you will clearly see that it fits the definition completely. You don't have to have death camps in order for it to be a concentration camp. Although there are rumors out there that are basically saying that people are, being brought up in chains in airplanes and then being dumped out of the airplanes and coming right back. And the thing is that if we didn't have such a piece of shit as president, we might be like, oh, that's ridiculous. But because we have a piece of shit as president who it's believable that he would allow that, endorse that, and tell his people to literally do that, since it's plausible. Before Donald Trump, I would say that's not plausible with any of the people that we've had. Even frickin' Bush. Even either of the Bushes or Reagan. Plausible. Would be plausible with them. It's absolutely plausible with Donald Trump and the people who support him. Like your Laura Loomers of the world who think that all 65 million Hispanic people in this country should be alligator food. So, let's see what. Why is there photos of topless young girls sitting on Dinky's lap? I mean, why did Donald Trump, didn't he go on Howard Stern and basically, let's say, brag about how he could walk into the Miss Teen USA pageant locker room whilst the teenage girls are sitting there changing? He said that, right? Why wouldn't you then believe that he's a pedo? Oh, I'm sorry. Ephebophile. Because pedophile is under a certain age. But as a comedian once said, the reason we don't make the differentiation between pedophiles and ephebophiles is that when people start trying to make the differentiation between the two, they sound like frickin' pedophiles. So, colloquially, pedophile works for anybody who's a sick, twisted bastard who's going to go after kids and touch them inappropriately. So, thank you, Christina. But yeah. Probably will open up the phone lines earlier than normal. However, before we do that, there are some things, sometimes we need a break. And I'm sure we'll go right back to this stuff. And again, if you're a conservative and you're listening to the show right now, I really would love to, have you call in and try and defend any of this crap. Or if you're conservative, if you voted for Trump and you are, now questioning your choice, call in too. I'd love to hear that as well. I don't want to have to debate. I would love to have conservatives call in and be like, I made a mistake. I made the wrong choice. Donald Trump is an asshole. Donald Trump is, a Nazi. Donald Trump is doing all these things, and he made promises as he's not delivering on what I thought he would promise. Now, of course, another person who is kind of a moderate as well on Facebook, who had his own blog for a while. I don't know if he still runs the blog or not. It's like the group is called like Louisiana and U.S. Politics or whatever. And he wanted to give Trump credit because Donald Trump is finally seeing the light on Vladimir Putin. And with Donald Trump announcing that he's going to put like a 50% tariff in addition on whatever is on Putin if Putin doesn't stop the war, because Trump is mad that he thought he was going to end the invasion of Ukraine by Russia on day one. But that hasn't happened yet. Problem with that is that, again, anybody with 2 working brain cells should have realized that Donald Trump was never going to be able to convince Vladimir Putin because Donald Trump is weak. Donald Trump cedes power to Putin all the time. He did that multiple times in his first term. Why would we think it would be any different in his second? Especially when Donald Trump still has the P-tape, right? Yeah. Didn't Donald Trump put a higher tariff on the penguins? Yes, of course he did. Because a country with no exports or land, whatever, with hardly any, if none, exports and just mostly penguins, he was like, oh, we're going to tariff this people too. Because, again, they don't measure twice before cutting. They don't actually think before acting. And that's why we have all this stupid shit coming from this administration. You have people dying because the phone centers at FEMA were understaffed because of all these Doge cuts. So people who were trying to call and get help didn't get help. People that were supposed to get the information didn't get the information out and spread it to the people who needed to hear it. So again, the Trump administration 2.0 is going to have more needless deaths. And then what? Was it the pneumonic plague or the bubonic plague or something? Somebody actually died from that in Arizona too. One of the things I dreaded about the end of the Trump administration the first time is that even if he never became president again, that he enabled and allowed these anti-vaccine people to be, so convinced that these vaccines are terrible and horrible. And instead of fighting against them and saying, look, you're wrong, it's patriotic of you to take a vaccine, get a vaccine, get a free MAGA hat or some bullshit. What he should have done, but instead he just enabled these science deniers to continue pushing this, science denial crap that they're doing. And then what happens? The next time we get a bigger, more dangerous plague coming around, virus, whatever, the next time that happens, these people aren't going to socially distance. They're not going to, take vaccines or other medicine that's actually meant to actually help people in the middle of these sort of things. And it's going to cause more people to die, all because of his inaction, his unwillingness. So yeah, Dan, there's a case of number of young girls who were raped by Dinky and Epstein. The families were paid off. I have the case number. It's still online. I mean, yeah, I understand that. But, these MAGA supporters don't want to see that. There was one on Twitter who I responded to the other day that basically was like, I think I talked about it on the show last time, where he was basically like, explaining, oh, we should forgive Donald Trump. Like, would you forgive Donald Trump if he did that to your kid? No? Then fuck yourself. Nobody talks about the Michael Hunt. No one talks about the illegal migrants are not vaccinated. I mean, but why would we assume that just because somebody crossed the border in violation of our border laws, why would we assume that they are somehow less vaccinated? I would think that at this point, Americans would be less likely to be vaccinated than other people because of all the science deniers that are going on. So, anyway. No person, exactly, atrocious. That's why I always put in quotes. you know, I that's why I say if you've crossed the border in violation of our border policies, whatever. But of course, it was never illegal to cross the border to ask asylum. You could do it anywhere as long as you were on U.S. soil. And then, like, during the Trump administration, there was like, oh, you could also do it at port of entry. But then the Trump administration closed the ports of entry. So how can you then declare asylum if you're not going to do it crossing the border, standing on U.S. soil? You should be able to go to any border guard and be like, any of the border patrol, be like, I request asylum, and then it should automatically start going that way. But nope, that's not what we want to do, because we have racist, bigot, xenophobes in this administration who, you know, want to make America white again, because that's what they view America being red again. And of course, when they say America, they don't mean the United States of America. They mean the Confederate States of America, because they're Confederates. They're not U.S. patriots. Anyway, before we open up the phone lines, though, before we do that, and we will, hey, it's the Goddess Kimchi. Good to see you. SSL, but here now. Hugs and blessings to all, even Mike Cock. Nice. Hilarious. But anyway, welcome, Goddess. Good to see you. But again, here's a little, before we open up the phone lines and take the calls, I did want to, you know, have a little bit of levity, a little break here of other things. Now, I don't know how many people of y'all are, you know, fans of Tom Lehrer. I love Tom Lehrer. He has a lot of great stuff. And of course, AI is not perfect or whatever. But a while ago, not too long, Tom Lehrer basically announced, it's January 23rd, 2023. Disclaimer statement. I, Tom Lehrer, individually and as trustee of the Tom Lehrer Trust 2007, hereby grant the following permissions. All copyrights to lyrics or music written or composed by me are permanently and irrevocably relinquished, and therefore such songs are now in the public domain. All of my songs that have never been copyrighted, having been available for free for so long, are also now in the public domain. In other words, I have abandoned, surrendered, and disclaimed all right, title, and an interest into my work, and have injected any and all copyrights into the public domain. The permission granted includes all lyrics which I have written to music by others, although the music to such parodies, if copyrighted by their own composers, are of course not included without permission of their owners. The translated songs on this website may also be found on YouTube in the original languages. Performing and recording rights to all of any of my songs are included in this permission. Translation rights are also included. In particular, permission is hereby granted to anyone to set any of these lyrics to their own music, or to set any of this music to their own lyrics, and to publish or perform their own parodies or distortions of these songs without payment or fear of legal action. That being said, one of the things that I did when I was away is I started working on taking the lyrics from Tom Lehrer's songs and then reimagining them in maybe more modern song form, to paraphrase something else Tom Lehrer once said. So he has one about the Marines, and this one isn't the better one of the two or whatever, and then he has one about poisoning pigeons in the park. So for a little levity, we're going to play both at this point, and I'll probably upload these to YouTube as well, because I'm a big fan of Tom Lehrer, and I imagine, you know, putting these songs out there, just kind of rethinking them, having fun with it, is just maybe one way to take a little break from the headache that life is. So first and foremost, here's the Marines one that he did in another song form.
When someone makes a move of which we don't approve, who is it that always intervenes? You and NOASA have their place, I guess, but first, send the Marines. We'll send them all we've got, John Wayne and Randolph Scott. Remember those exciting fighting scenes, to the shores of Tripoli, but not to Mississippi. What do? We send the Marines. For might makes right, until they've seen the light. They've got to be protected, all their rights respected, till somebody we like can be elected. Members of the Corps all hate the thought of war. They'd rather kill them off by peace.
I turned off the volume so you couldn't hear me. There you go. Now I can actually talk. And, all right. Let's start that again. I don't know what the hell happened with my internet, but we'll start that again because it was, I think y'all missed about half of it. So we'll start that one again and then we'll play the next one.
When someone makes a move of which we don't approve, who is it that always intervenes? You and NOASA have their place, I guess, but first, send the Marines. We'll send them all we've got, John Wayne and Randolph Scott. Remember those exciting fighting scenes to the shores of Tripoli, but not to Mississippi. What do? We send the Marines. For might makes right until they've seen the light. They've got to be protected, all their rights respected, till somebody we like can be elected. Members of the Corps all hate the thought of war. They'd rather kill them off by peaceful means. Stop calling it aggression. Ooh, we hate that expression. We only want the world to know that we support the status quo. They love us everywhere we go. So when in doubt, send Marines.
All right, so that's the first one. I did send the Marines in with a kind of a ska type of look, and this one I had fun with. I made I put in folk, but also what is it? Folk and funk combined to this one to poisoning pigeons in the park. So I don't know, for some reason it's telling us no data again. I don't know if YouTube's just being stupid or if my internet's being stupid or what. I don't know. Hopefully we don't fail again. But yeah, so here is a funky folk version of poisoning pigeons in the park.
Spring is here, suffering is here. Life is Skittles and life is beer. I think the loveliest time of the year is the spring. I do, don't you?
Of course you do.
But there's one thing that makes spring complete for me. It makes every Sunday a treat for me. All the world sings in tune on a spring afternoon when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. Every Sunday you'll see my sweetheart and me as we poison the pigeons in the park. When they see us coming, the birdies all try and hide, but they still go for peanuts when coated with cyanide. The sun's shining bright, everything seems alright when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. We've gained notoriety and caused much anxiety in the Audubon Society. With our games, they call it impiety and lack of propriety, and quite a variety of unpleasant names. But it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon. So if someday you're free, why don't you come with me and we'll poison the pigeons in the park? And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while we're poisoning pigeons in the park. And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while we're poisoning pigeons in the park. We'll murder them all amid laughter at merriment, except for the few we take home to experiment. My pulse will be quickening with each drop of strychnine. Me feed to a pigeon, it just takes a smidgen to poison a pigeon in the park. It just takes a smidgen to poison a pigeon in the park.
All right, so what y'all think about those two? Would you listen to more of those things? Would you share those reimagining of Tom Lehrer songs if I posted those and created some more? Let me know. I had a good time making it, and I was actually, with the minor exception of some, like, sometimes it's difficult to get AI to pronounce things exactly properly, and there was a couple of them in that one, like, that they didn't say each wrong or whatever, but generally speaking, I thought it was really well done. I thought AI did a really good job with the composition and arrangement that it created with the, lyrics and prompts that I gave. So anyway, Steven Sayers, yes, Dan, more of that, please. Well, there you go. So Steven's ringing endorsement of that, and of course, as Josh likes the dark humor. I love poisoning. Now, one of the things is when I was growing up and listening to Tom Lehrer, I really only listened to the "This Was the Year That Was" album, which is where the Marine song came from. I should do National Brotherhood Week. That should be the next one that I do. I just haven't quite settled on what I want to do with it, i.e., what I want to do as it pertains to what kind of genre of music I want to switch it to. But I really like the fact that funk and folk kind of turned into postmodern jukebox, because that's kind of the kind of vibe I got there. So anyway, so I had a good time with that, and I hope y'all did as well. But as of right now, we are turning on the phone lines. 562-LIBDAN1, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. Marie says, please, Dan, may I have some more? Please, Dan, may I have some more? Anyway, but yes, we will make more of those, especially if y'all like it. But yeah, it's fun. I'm glad y'all liked it too. Suzanne, pigeon are squab in Europe. Wow, yep. Let's see. If you like that, watch 24-Hour Party People featuring the tale of Sean and Bez feeding E to pigeons. Pigeons explode. Is it E or is it Mentos? I thought it was Mentos or something where that happened. But yeah, I love the, it was just a good time. But anyway, yes, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. Let's see. Notice Tom Lehrer says, this website will be shut down at some point, not in a distant future. If you want to download anything, don't wait too long. Haven't quite figured out. It doesn't seem like you can take the originally produced songs from Tom Lehrer. I don't think you can use those specifically. I don't know if he's actually allowed you to play his original stuff on his own channels. If that's the case, fine, cool, awesome. I'd be more than happy to play them during the show as well. I just don't want to get snagged with a copyright violation simply because I didn't follow the copyright thing. But, if I could do that with it, it seemed to be fun. So, anyway. I was also amused that Big Hook wants to watch Jeff Curry and Kimchi wrestle. The wrestling of two hot, spicy people. That would be quite amusing. Any opposition? Big Hook also says, any opposition want to call in ahead of me. Again, you have your chance to beat Big Hook into the phone lines. 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. Remember, this is Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. I didn't turn off the audio so you don't have to listen to the ringtone. Anyway, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Mondays and Wednesdays here, 8 p.m. Central on liberaldanradio.com or twitch.liberaldanradio.com. You can support the show by liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting. One of the best things you can do to help the algorithm is actively comment on everything possible to get more people seeing. Because the more YouTube sees y'all interacting with my videos, the more YouTube will show my videos to other people, especially people that watch the things that y'all watch. That's my best understanding of how the algorithms work. And as we all know, according to my shirt, Al Gore needs more rhythm. Of course, there is somebody who did buy the algorithm shirt, i.e. One half of the Mod Squad. Aaron is a proud owner of the shirt. I'm still waiting on my stepsister to get me mine, or my two of the shirts, and once I get them, I'll be wearing them on the show regularly. But anyway, if y'all want to support the show, you can do it that way as well. But also Venmo, Liberal Dan, go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio. Patreon.com/liberaldan or patreon.liberaldan.com. Both gets you there as well. Of course, you can go to Liberal Dan store, http store.liberaldanradio.com. If you put HTTPS, your browser's not going to like it, but as long as it's HTTP, it's good to go. Thank you, Jan, so much for gifting 10 Liberal Dan Radio memberships. 10 more Danimals here because Jan is generous. Of course, you can click the link that Jolie gave you as well. That links directly to the site, and skips the the whole redirection thing that I've had to do. So, but again, thank you so much, Jan. Appreciate your support. Maybe more people will watch because they are now Liberal Danimals. So, 5 Eggs also got a membership. Let's see, Stephanie B. Anybody else I recognize in the list? I think I recognize Kelly Anderson, and Louis Seha Jr., but some of the other people's names I don't recognize, but again, appreciate it nonetheless. So appreciate the support as always. So thank you so much for that. I think Big Hook, if you do want to go ahead and pull the trigger and call in, it doesn't appear like anybody else is calling right now, but anybody else, if Big Hook has calls in and you want to be the next in line, just let me know and leave your comment in the chat, and I will absolutely let Big Hook know that, hey, let's go to somebody else and we'll get back to you. Anyway, I would love for Google Voice to be able to have multiple people calling it at the same time, or to have multiple people on hold or whatever. I don't think Google Voice is quite there yet. At least it's not there with the free one. So yes, Danimals must stick together, especially in these hard, annoying times. Let's see. Is it that literally misdemeanor and indeed seeking asylum is an internationally recognized human right? Yes, it is. Trusted Every Game also says, I think Jesus would grant them asylum, and of course they would probably deport Jesus, who's a brown-skinned Palestinian Jew. Yep. Pretty much. Everybody who they, lionize, everybody who they think are great, even Reagan. They still look back at Reagan and say how wonderful Reagan is. You listen to some of the things Reagan said, I mean, a lot of the stuff Reagan said was a bunch of shit, and I still obviously disagree with, especially as I've gone left. But they would look at Reagan, the actual Reagan now, and would say, yes, they would look at him and say, he is a rhino, or he is a liberal. They'd call him a socialist and some things, whatever. But yeah, the straw man of Ronald Reagan versus the actual Ronald Reagan is actually two different things, and MAGA folks would absolutely be opposed to some of the stuff, especially like he gave 12 million people amnesty. That you would think that would be enough to have them shit bricks. Anyway, thank you, Big Hook, for calling in. What's going on? How was your weekend?
It was okay. It's getting kind of hot and humid here in BC at the moment. Yesterday it was 32 degrees. Today it's 28. So it's
32. Oh wait. Hold on. Let me end and accept this call because somebody else is calling in. Call back in a second, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Call from.
I don't know who the call's from. So here we go. Caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, it's Susie from Idaho.
Hey, Susie, what's going on? Oh, we got multiple people calling in.
I have to turn you up so I can hear you a little bit.
Anyway, so what's going on? If from the 260 area code, wait till she gets off, then you can get on the Big Hook call in again. So, anyway, what's going on? How are you?
Well, I was just wondering what the topic was.
We're talking about anything, really. It's an open line. You can talk about anything you want. So what you want to talk about?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to put you on speaker. I think I dropped.
No, I still hear you. So you're
No,
good.
you still there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Turn my speaker on. That way I can hear you. There. Now I think I can hear you. Well, I think what's going on in California is horrible.
Mm-hmm. Which particular thing? With the ice things or what?
Yeah, the ICE things. It's terrible. I mean, it seems like the Supreme Court tells them, okay, you need to stop profiling people and you have to have a warrant to pick them up. But then Stephen Miller turns around and says, oh, no, we don't need a warrant. Their skin color's enough, or where they're working or who they're working for. And they're targeting California to try to break their back in their economy. And, they're doing it in Florida, too. But Ron DeSantis is on board for that. He's thinking, I'm invested heavily in these private prisons, and I'm going to make money.
Right.
So I cannot see how there is any difference between a concentration camp. The only thing is they don't have incinerators for the people.
Right, but and if you look back, Dachau never had incinerators either. At least at the beginning, Dachau was usually open as a camp for political prisons. That was the first concentration camp opened in 1933. You know, we don't need death camps to make them concentration camps. So
well, why are they sending him to El Salvador or the Sudan? I don't understand. They have places to put these people.
Out of sight, out of mind, I guess, because they'd rather let them be other people's problem. I don't know, or maybe there are people who have invested in the El Salvadorian prison or the other places, and those people are going to get money as well.
Don't we have to pay for that though? Don't we have to pay from the tax dollars to these prisons?
Well, the bigots will love. Holy crap, we're getting lots of calls today, and I even turned off the number. But anyway, area code 405. Let's see. If you're calling from area code 405,
go ahead, take the call. I started the ball rolling. Go ahead.
All right, hold on. So, all right,
Call
there you
from
go.
Seha.
Hey, it's
To
Seha.
accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press...
Holy crap, it's Seha. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up? Oh my goodness! Did you pick? Oh, I'm a minute behind on the feed. What's going on?
Not too much. Yeah, we shut down. We turned off the image just to get while people call in, just to allow people to get to whatever. But more callers the merrier. So, but what just to everybody else right now. When I turn the image back up is when you could start calling in again because the last one hung up. Anyway, what's going on, Seha? What you want to talk about?
I'm having a good time. I was just wondering if you heard Trump earlier today or yesterday. I'm not sure when he was talking about he's going to tear up Russia.
Oh yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier today. Yeah, 50% more.
Oh, did you? Oh, did you? Well, what I'm wondering is how do you tariff a person that's completely sanctioned out of business in America?
You do have freighters that are illegally carrying, but I mean Donald Trump probably doesn't understand that either. I mean, he's brain. There's so many examples of where Donald Trump lacks the cognitive ability to be president. I mean, they always want to talk about Sleepy Joe and how Joe Biden lacked cognitive abilities.
I've looked around at Walmart and I don't see many items made in Russia anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how much money are we going to? How much punishment are we going to do to Russia by tariffing them? I just thought. Oh no, not the Russian vodka. That's about the only thing we get.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to piss off a lot. Trump is going to piss off a lot of alcoholics who like screwdrivers or whatever. Either that or isn't it? Wait, who had? It wasn't.
Ukraine makes vodka too.
Did he have? Doesn't Diddy have a brand of vodka? Maybe Donald Trump supporting his
Tabarsky. Tabarsky is Russian. Coors is Ukrainian. It's got a vodka too. It's Coors.
Well, he doesn't like that. Ciroc is a brand of vodka originally marketed in partnership with Sean Diddy Combs in 2007. So maybe he's trying to play up and help his good friend Puff Daddy. Maybe he's trying to help him out with his vodka sales or whatever, get him some cash to help him fight his legal fees or whatever, because birds of a feather rape together or however it goes, right? So
yeah. I was just trying to be honest because everybody started calling in and Big Hook got kicked. So I said, let's see if we can kick Big Hook off for a while. No, I'm just kidding. I like Big Hook. He's a good guy.
Yeah, Big Hook's good people. We love Big Hook. So,
but yeah, I just noticed your phone exploded.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'll play too.
Perfect. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know what have I missed, man. I had like 4 streamers on, and I missed today. What was y'all talking about today?
It was mostly just more of the BS about Trump and the Epstein thing, and
oh my gosh.
And how we're freaking a bunch of creating a new Nazi Germany 2.0 right here in the good old USA. Or the CSI.
Yeah, I saw how Trump's trying to run people to the Supreme Court and don't take a deal from Maxine. We don't need that.
Right.
Yeah. I wonder why they're trying to cover that up so quick. I thought we wanted all the information.
That's what they claimed, but they probably didn't realize that. They probably thought that they could, scrub the list from Trump and not make it look good and not make it look like it was scrubbed. But then again, Bondi doesn't understand the whole thing with video editing and how, you can tell if something's been edited in a video.
Oh yeah, they've already caught that. the other thing that doesn't make no sense, if there's no information and no data and there's nothing to see here, why is Maxine in prison?
Exactly. Hell,
They have to release her.
The conservative thing, my words of redneck wisdom earlier, the conservative that called in was clearly made the same point. Well, said the same thing. If there's no client list, there's no crime. There's no crime. Why is she in prison? And why did he commit suicide? If there's no client list, then there's no crime. So then why would he commit suicide? Right?
Dude, he screwed this up so bad. There's no way anybody's ever going to trust him again.
Oh, well, one would hope. But
anyhow, I just figured I'd call and say hello. I wasn't really wanting to talk about much, but
well, I
appreciate it.
Appreciate you being in the chat. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much, and you have a good rest.
You have a good day.
You too. Bye. All right, so we now have, again, the phone lines are back open, 562-LibDan1, 562. I think there was an area code 208 that had called in. If you want to call in now and talk, you can before Big Hook calls back. Was it 208 or was it 260? It might have been 260. But anyway, if you called in before and I didn't pick up for you, call back in and you can chat as well. Otherwise, we'll invite Big Hook to come back on. Let's see. Boo, boo, boo. Wait, what are we talking? We're talking about bras and hormone levels? What am I missing? There we go. There's 260. We got Mike H in the chat. Or Mike H on the phone lines. What's going on, Mr. Hunt? What's going on?
I'm watching this airbrushing in the back porch.
Very cool. Thank you for calling in. What you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Epstein.
Okay.
How did that guy get to the power that he's got and got control of all the women?
That is, I mean, some people, when you have connections, I mean, I think he was initially teaching at some very rich, wealthy school or whatever. So up in New York, I forget what it's called. We talked about that the other day. And so he probably had connections to some very high-powered, influential people and probably leveraged that to get into the financial industry and then leveraged that to do things like, start trafficking people. Yeah. So I think that's kind of how they dotted, they connected the dots there. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, again, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. And the wealthier he got, I'm sure the more greedy he got and the more he thought he could get away with stuff. And, well, that's what happens with, all power people, including hair president Donald Trump. Or bad hair president, I should say. But, yeah. And look, like people want to say, even MSNBC today was still calling things a conspiracy theory. No, Epstein's a criminal. Epstein's dead. There's nobody, I don't think there's many people out there who's going to defend Jeffrey Epstein. Dead. And to say that the whole thing is a conspiracy theory, I mean, about whether or not he killed himself, I mean, he died under very suspicious circumstances. And when you have that much information, supposedly, on so many people, those people are going to want you dead so you can't talk. And so it's plausible and it's highly possible that, that someone else had him offed, and it happened during the Trump administration. So, and Trump was seen partying with him for years, a good old friend, 25 years, and lo and behold, he magically offs himself. No, I don't buy that one bit. I typically don't buy into many conspiracy theories, including conservative ones, or especially conservative ones. But on this one, I don't believe he killed himself. I would need to see.
Let's just say it did happen. Who cares?
Right. He still has the people. He still has there is still the list, because Pam Bondi said there's a list, right? So if there's a list, then what happened to it? Again, the only logical reason why Donald Trump would never want that list released is if his name is on it, because I would guarantee you he'd throw anybody else under the bus, especially if he believes it would help him politically.
I'd pay for my name to be on it.
Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, it is.
All right, anything else about Epstein or anything else you want to chat about?
Nah. what's happening? You got a little choppy on your podcast. What's up with that?
I don't. There's some weather going on down here, so it was. I might have had just a little bit of a glitch when it came to the internet. I don't know. I think that's what probably happened earlier. Simply because.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, weather in the summer in New Orleans, it goes from hot to rain, hot to rain. So, yeah, it's miserable. At least with the rain, it gives me free water for the pool.
Yeah.
So
did your pool turn out all right, or what?
It's getting there. Like it finally got fixed. I still have to pay for it. It finally got fixed, and then I'm still working on getting it clear. Although it's blue, so it's no longer has algae in it, so it's swimmable. It's just still kind of cloudy because of all of the stuff that's in it.
You didn't have to do any besides cleaning it. Everything worked good with it freezing up.
Oh well, when it froze, I mean the old motor died, so I had to replace a new one.
Shit.
Yeah,
Did you try to fight it?
Yeah, and then I had to. This is also the year where I needed to replace the sand in the sand filter. So that was a big double whammy right there as well. I used to think I had this call out, a long time ago. I wanted people to either leave a message in the Patreon or whatever, or just email me and say things like, what is it when you were a child? Did you think when you grew up that this would make you not example of you being rich or wealthy or whatever, but what 3 things would you want to have or have the ability to do as an adult to be able to say, I'm where I want to be or whatever. I don't know. I mean, usually kids don't think that way, but there are 3 specific things that I wanted as a kid when I became an adult. Things I wanted to do that either I didn't have and basically didn't have that I wanted to have or would love to have as a kid. 1, very simple. I wanted a refrigerator with an ice maker and a water thing up front, so I could easily get that. I mean, that was very simple. Have that, no problem. 2, be able to go to Disney every year. For a while we did that. Now Disney is way too expensive and cost prohibitive to do that. 3, own a pool. So I was able to get all 3 things and still in a financial rut. So because other things happen as a kid. So
I would have got a Red Ryder BB gun.
You could shoot an eye out with that thing.
No, I got BB guns that are PCPs. They take out squirrels and everything else with them.
See, Suzanne says, Liberal Dan, I bet you have mosquitoes just like me. I haven't seen many mosquitoes actually recently. That's another interesting thing. I don't know if somebody was in the chat saying this. I think they were in the chat last time saying this. Used to be when I would drive through the South or whatever, on a summer trip, my car, the windshield would be just covered in just bug guts as you're driving through. Yeah. I didn't get that driving through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, going to Myrtle Beach this past or last week or so, or the week before. I didn't get that, so I don't know what's going on with that. That's really weird. Maybe it's climate change. Who knows? Hey, look, Trucker John's in the chat. Good to see you, Trucker John. Thank you for joining.
Hey, Trucker John.
So that's
awesome. I'll let you go.
Perfect. It's Dan and Mike on the radio. Anyway, thank you so much for calling. Appreciate it. You have a great rest of your night.
Yep, you too.
All right, bye. Again, phone lines are still open. 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. If you want to call in, please do so. If you don't do it quick enough, we'll get Big Hook back on the line, because I know Big Hook will definitely want to give another ringy-dingy and actually talk about what he wanted to talk about. But, I did want to give some of the other people who haven't called in first the ability to call in. So yes, I love, it's great. I would love to be able to have open phone lines with lots of people calling. I really want conservatives to call in to have a debate. But they're too cowardly. They know that they can't handle Liberal Dan Radio talk from the left. That's right. They know that I'll just sit here and I'll be playing this sound.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Anyway, so good to see you, Michael McAndrews, in the chat. Thank you for joining. What else? Oh, yes, it was you, Marie, about the bug-free windshield. Yes, thank you. I knew it was from the show. I just couldn't remember what it was. Yeah, Dan just shoved Big Hook out of the line. I mean, he kind of offered it, I think, also, didn't he? Like, I mean, he likes to take his turn, whatever, but, you know, it's fine. He'll call back. I know. At some point, maybe it'll be the Liberal Dan Radio and Big Hook show. Who knows? Some days it is. But, again, good quality content. Why would I not want that on the program, right? So, but I would like to debate some conservatives or whatever to call in. But again, call in. You have to do it. Anyway, again, 562-542-3261, 562-542-3261. Big Hook, if you can, call back in or whatever. It doesn't seem like we're getting anybody. Of course, you'll call and then somebody else will call just to be silly. Watch it be Jolie or something. So this time, if you don't beat Big Hook in on the call, I'm not gonna bump Big Hook this time. Big Hook gets to have his say at this point. So, the county health department was found West Nile virus in the mosquito populations here. What joy! Oh boy, what else are we gonna have? It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Anyway. That does sound like something I would do. Well, I mean, you did get a kick out of the idea when Big Hook called in to tell the other conservative in the chat, or tell the conservative in the chat that as proof that I hang up on people. And then I was like, it would be hilarious if I would answer the call for Big Hook and be like, oh, sorry, Big Hook, hang up, bye. And I know, Jolie, I remember you, Jolie, specifically saying that would be hilarious. So, the West Nile malaria will be at Alligator Alcatraz. Yes, Alligator Dachau will have probably tons of malaria deaths because they won't invest in mosquito nets or anything else to actually help fight the mosquitoes. Or if they did, they probably wouldn't want to put anything in there that would kill the alligators, not because they like alligators or like any sort of wildlife, but simply because they want to have the alligators as a threat to stop the people from escaping the concentration camp. So, hey, we got Big Hook finally. There you go. But we are not going to hang up on Big Hook this time to switch to somebody else. Big Hook now has the air. Let's turn off the call-in sign so people aren't confused. We'll turn it back on once Big Hook is done. How are you doing again, Big Hook? What's going on?
No, not too bad. Glad you got some extra callers in there who wanted to get their points of view across. Not afraid to compete with that. It's but so much is going on now. The guardrails are really dropping fast now. Katie Fang was reporting earlier that they found an ICE memo which stated that now they can deport within 24 hours notice. They can actually, and if they figure that it's an egregious crime that the person has committed or whatever that are in ICE custody, they can be given only 6 hours notice. I mean, what happened
I don't think that qualifies for the Supreme Court ruling that said that they're required to have adequate time to file a habeas corpus request in order to get their guaranteed due processes required by the Constitution. They probably think they would rather act over the top and do things beyond and then be told no than wait to hear whether or not that it's okay, or just be cautious in not violating the law.
Yeah, but they had those people that were already in another country, and they were like, oh, no, we can't bring them back, so that way they can get their, their due process. And they were like, oh, you can do it via Skype or whatever, and do their objections as well. And it's like, so you can't provide them with a lawyer with their own separate time, and you want to do it because you don't want to bring them back because you jumped the gun forcing them out of the country in the first place. This whole thing is going to cost a fortune in the end. I mean, it's so much money that's being wasted. I mean, he did this first one where he sent them off to Guantanamo, and then and then realize, oh, well, it's expensive. Oh, there aren't enough people to house it, and then they ended up bringing them all back at a huge expense. I mean, these guys are, going through money like there's no tomorrow. It's crazy, and that's the thing. They don't want to follow the rules. They just want to hope that they can make these people disappear. It would not surprise me if we end up having like the same as the Pinochet thing, where they'll take them halfway across to their destination and just start throwing them out of an airplane, and whatnot. Because I don't put anything past this administration. They are that corrupt and evil, It's amazing how bad it's gotten.
Dog killer Kristi Noem basically confirmed on Fox News Sunday that the agency had the policy in place, that the memo was, quote, incredibly important to make sure we get the worst of the worst out of the country. Of course, anybody who believes that they're targeting the worst of the worst has not been paying attention. If you're targeting the worst of the worst, you wouldn't have gone after that Lakeview woman from Iran who was here because, she basically, if she went back home, she would probably be put to death. Or other people who, like the hairdresser, or anybody else who's been detained and or deported by this Nazi regime just because they're brown,
Well, as Texas Paul was saying earlier, she canceled the FEMA call-in center. So now these people that are left high and dry in Texas, have only one place to be able to call in, which is either the Texas government or their insurance agents, who probably will say, well, we don't cover floods, so you're shit out of luck. So what's going to happen to all these people that got caught up in that disaster down there in Texas now? Are they going to see any recompense, or is it just going to be another, we're going to pretend to do something and then, fuck you. You're
I
on your
will
own.
point out that I did talk about that as well a little earlier, but it is what it is. Anyway, but yeah, the call centers, were either closed, understaffed, or whatever, and then people couldn't get the information that they would need. So yeah, it's horrible. I mean, you don't put people in charge of a department who want to close the department. Just like frickin' Linda McMahon in the Department of Education, or any other people that are out there that want to, just eliminate, departments wholeheartedly. I'm sure Wednesday I'll have a lot more to talk about when it comes to student loans, because they're screwing us over too with that. But money is less important than people's lives, and this administration is going to cause needless deaths because of their reckless actions, all in the name of A, saving money, but B, really in the name of bigotry. So.
Yeah, but that's just it right now. The what's her name, Pam Blondie there, went and fired the ethics watchdog, who had been there for 25 years. I mean, like I said, all the guardrails are falling now, and the Supreme Court is basically allowing it to happen, because they say, oh no, you can't have a national-wide injunction or whatever, or when Biden wants something done, and then as soon as it turns around the other way, oh yeah, well, we can allow it for Kaczmarek with the abortion pill debate and whatnot. I mean, like they are so disingenuous now. I mean, it's quite obvious that basically they are basically a veto for the Republican priorities now. They don't serve the people. They serve their Republican billionaire masters at this point. There's no two ways about it. You mean a rubber
stamp, not a veto, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the thing. They just, they want these issues, which are all distractions, while, the billionaires are walking away with all the money. And like I said last time I called in, what's going to happen when they realize that there's no more money left in the bank anymore, and they can't get any more than what they've already gotten. They're all going to go fuck off to another country and live the high life and try and ruin their country next. That's what all these billionaires do. I mean, they always threaten the same thing. Oh, well, I might take my business elsewhere. And it's like, yeah, like you could go go to another country and rape and ravage and whatever, because you're already doing that anyway. You've already sent all the industry overseas and they're making your stuff. You're just getting it shipped over here and selling it at extreme high profit. You know, I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, you know, I mean, there are no checks and balances anymore.
Nope.
And that's what's disturbing, because, you know, the Republicans are like, oh yeah, well, fuck you. I don't answer to anybody anymore. And Andrea said today that they were looking at possibly pushing the midterms to another year afterwards. You know, like, I mean, as if that's going to help. You know, I mean, these guys are so disingenuous, it's ridiculous, you know, because they're going to go out and they're going to try and gerrymander everything to try and make it so that way they can't lose the election unless, you know, Republicans are basically so fed up with what their party is doing that they don't show up to vote. And then, you know, we win by default because nobody else voted, you know, other than the Democrats. And maybe that's what it basically comes down to, is that's the only way to keep these people accountable. And even then, I don't know. I mean, considering the fix was in before, you know, if they're using people who don't vote and then replacing or, you know, adding extra votes that within the system, then, you know, what do you do now? Mm-hmm. Because that's the thing, right? I mean, there's the statistics don't show that this was that last election was a normal election. Like, all the data showed extreme things. And the other thing is that it's almost the exact same in every state there, the swing states that were counted. The margin of victory was such that there couldn't be a recall, and that it had to, you know, and it was almost by the same number of votes almost on every single, you know, state. Yeah. Yeah, but, you know, I mean, yeah. No, but there's just too much out there to dismiss this for what it all seems to be, because, you know, everybody that was basically out there and voted were like, something does not smell right. You know, this doesn't seem right. And, you know, and the fact that Trump basically went and said that, you know, he wasn't worried. He thought, and actually said, you don't need to vote. I have this in the bag. And it's like, so he knew the fix was in already. So, you know, and that's the thing. I mean, once I mean, the problem also ends up being, as Texas Paul says, is that if you put enough doubt in the system that your vote won't count anyway, then people are, you know, disenfranchised to go out and actually use the responsibility that they have to basically tell the government what they want, you know. And, you know, this comes across as another problem, you know. I mean, people already don't know half of their civics anyway. Right. You know, and when they come across this situation where they think, you know what, my vote may not count anyway, and they will basically replace my vote, or they will match my vote with a vote from somebody who didn't vote, you know. I mean, then they're just like, well, you know, it's a heads I win, tails you lose situation all over again, you know. And, you know, and this is the thing. The Republicans don't like elections, because when it comes down to it, they go and they get elected, they fuck up, people will get angry at them and then vote them out, and they go, oh, I don't like elections. And it's like, you don't like accountability.
Nope.
You know, that's what happens. You go and you sign up for a job and you fuck the job up and you leave everybody high and dry. Guess what? They're not going to vote for you the next time. It's plain and simple. Either you sign up for the job. And this is the other problem. They get paid regardless. How is it that the government can can shut down, but they still get paid.
Right.
While federal employees are left holding the bag.
Yep.
This is bullshit.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
When my dad, when he used to work for Social Security, he was one of the employees that would have to go into work even if they weren't going to get paid. Like, he had to go to work, and even if there was like furloughs or shutdowns or whatever, he had no choice in the matter. So basically, shutting down the government basically enabled them to get, slave labor from him. And I think they might have had to pay him back pay at some point, but who knows when the shutdowns happen, when that would be. So yeah, it's.
Yeah, but if all your checks bounce
Right.
because you basically don't have money in your bank account to cover the things, and you have to buy groceries because there's no other alternative, and you end up going even further into debt because of that. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, and the thing is that conservatives look at public service as, the public serves us. And it's like, no, it's supposed to be the opposite. It's supposed to be you serve the public. And that's the thing. They have their priorities all mixed up. Oh, it's a job. It's a job where I get paid because I represent people who don't like to pay taxes, and I get to fuck over all the rest of you by selling you this big wad of bullshit that ain't true. And then I tell you that, that liberal over there wants your cookie. Doesn't matter if I got 8 of them already, and I could easily give up, 5 of them. But, I mean, this is what they do. It's always the same. It's all bait and switch. It's all cruelty. It's, I mean, they're going to take, I went and I reviewed my rant from right after the election, and everything that I said in that rant came true. I said they're going to get rid of the FDA. They're going to get rid of the EPA. They're going to get rid of, environmental, everything. Your Medicare, your social insurance, and everything that I predicted has been coming down the pipeline there. They're basically cutting everything, and they're going to leave the populace with nothing. And that's the thing. It's, he wants to rule the country from the ashes that are left.
Yep.
And that's just it, because the easiest way to run a dictatorship is when nobody has nothing and they can't say nothing. And it's just like Afghanistan, a population that is basically, one day away from starvation, one paycheck away from being homeless. They're easy to control, and you can't complain because guess what? You don't have any say. You don't have any stake in the game. You have nothing that you can fall back on. And, this is where you guys are at now. And basically, you're going through the starvation period. I mean, I think it's no mistake that he's basically going to let all the crops rot and everything else, because that's what he's going to do. He's going to bankrupt all the farmers who now have nothing to show for it, and they'll go bankrupt. And then what'll happen? Billionaires will buy up all their farms and then turn it into commercial farming, and you'll be left again with what you already have, which is, a system that is already rigged.
Wait, it's not billionaires. It's the Shylocks who'll be taking the farms, according to Trump. Because he's a freaking anti-Semite.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same. It's basically the same thing here now. I mean, no matter what. I mean, if you look within every religious group, there are lots of bad people. There are lots of bad Jews. There's lots of bad Israelis. There's lots of, I mean, this is the thing. Within every group, you find people that are, that think that they are somehow superior and that their way is the only way, and they are willing to kill people to get their way, And Netanyahu is no exception. I mean, he's been playing this game forever. And the thing is that he finally got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, and accountability was about to bite him. And he's been basically playing it off and starting wars right, left, and center and everything else. I mean, personally, I think at this point, the the October 7th attack was probably, he knew it was coming, probably.
Oh, I've said that.
I hate to say
there's his administration has been reported that at least people in his administration knew about it. I even predicted that that would have happened, and it came true. Because, it was better for Netanyahu to be able to respond to the attack than to prevent it in the first place. So that's why.
And the thing is that his trial was coming up, and that's the thing. It's almost like he perfectly set the table. He waited. I mean, they used the holiday of all things to strike, and I bet you Netanyahu set the security levels and told people, and I mean, he had people in the wrong region that were looking at doing exercises and holding the line in another area that was, far away, which meant that the quick response teams couldn't get there in time before the slaughter actually happened. I mean, it's like, as Malcolm Nance said, coincidence requires a lot of planning.
Right.
And that's the thing. That's where this all looks.
The other thing, though, about Netanyahu's trial is that he was actually being, cross-examined right before Israel struck Iran. But Netanyahu said, "Oh, I'm too sick. I can't come in and do my testimony in my cross-examination because I'm sick." But he wasn't sick enough to not declare war on Iran or attack Iran, right? I mean, I guess he has priorities. Again, he doesn't want to face any repercussions, but he looks at his good buddy Donald Trump and is like, "Oh, well, Donald Trump can get away with it. Why can't I?"
Yeah. But
first of all, shout out to TV2 Live in the chat room, and also shout out to Justin, who is a new person in the chat. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, and happy birthday, Josh. But, here's the thing. Like, I didn't know Shylock was a Jewish slur, right? I mean, and
but
that's
you're also
the thing.
not trying to be in public office. You're also not trying to run for you're not vice president. You're not trying to run for president. I would expect
but the
somebody
problem
to know
is that there's no instruction manual as to how to be a politician who knows absolutely everything within an international community of religion as well as other things. I mean, I don't know very much about Muslims and their culture and their religious laws and whatnot, other than the cruelty that I've seen extended by these regimes upon other people, whether it be through, you can't show your hair with hijab and other things like that, and the same thing with throwing the LGBTQ people off of roofs and that sort of thing, I mean,
right. Well, that's some of the things I can't understand about all the people on the left who are like, "Oh, Hamas are freedom fighters." No, Hamas are a bunch of anti-Semites, anti-gay, anti-women, anti-almost everything, unless you're going to follow strict Muslim law, which in many cases, people who are religious conservatives don't even follow their own religion. That they don't. It hurts my brain when I see people on the left trying to defend a group as so-called freedom fighters when they are, the people who all, again, throw people off roofs and who are for being gay, who use their own people as human shields. I mean, they'll deny that too, because again, it's not okay to be anti-LGBTQA but unless you're also attacking Jews in the process, then I guess it's fine. So it's one of my major frustrations with other fellow leftists, I suppose. So
yeah, but that's the thing, though, right? Like, we all come here to learn, and that's the thing. We don't know these things, and until you point them out to us, oftentimes we aren't aware of that it's a Jewish tradition or it's a Jewish slur or it's whatever, or anti-Islamophobia. I mean, we don't know until somebody points it out to us and tells us what it means. I mean, that's why I really miss Randy Rhodes, because oftentimes she gave context to subjects that most of us were unaware of, and we were like, I can't speak up because I don't know enough about the subject to be able to say something without, putting my one foot in my mouth and asking to be kicked in the ass so that way I can insert the other one, and that's just it. I mean, so much of us don't know history or whatever, you know, and I mean, and then you get these people who basically play the, well, history is written by the victors, you know, so it's not real history. And then it's like, you know, like, so reality doesn't mean anything to these people, you know.
Right.
I heard a great thing there today on one of the debates, and he said, the problem is that when you're smart and you have all the answers and you're dealing with someone on the other end who is basically stupid, but on top of that stubborn, you're not going to get anywhere. And I thought the only addition that needs to be added to that statement is that they're racist, stupid, and stubborn, because that's what ends up happening. They don't want to hear anything. They are so set in their ways. They refuse to learn anything new. They don't want to hear it. They talk over you. They deflect. They do the whataboutism. They jump to another topic when they realize that their own their narrative that they're talking to doesn't hold up to scrutiny when you produce facts or figures that dispute what they've been told, you know, and they go, oh, well, that's liberal press. It's like, that's not fact. And it's like, it's always the same fucking story. They all have the same responses. And it's like, and, you know, I mean, you asked why they don't call into your show anymore. It's because they know. They hear it all the time. Everybody has the same answers. They refuse to listen to the answers. They refuse to move on to something else and fix the problem. You know, they just basically want to hang on their beef and, you know, and chew it because, you know, they got nothing else in their life that makes them happy. They live off hate because it's the only way to explain why they are so fucking miserable, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, like to your point earlier, though, like I think, you know, when I have had conservatives call into the show, and when they have said things and done things that I think people should know that maybe they don't, I think I tend to give people even more leeway typically than they don't, and maybe it's because sometimes, you know, I expect more from my side than the other side, so maybe that explains why I was a little shocked and chagrined that somebody high up and that involved in politics for so long, especially somebody who received the support of, like, I mean, Hadassah is a large organization of Jewish women in this country. I don't know, it's probably international as well. I don't remember that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But my grandmother was a part of it. I know other women who have been a part of it as well. For somebody, I mean, he had a lot of support within the Jewish community. I mean, if somebody was from the middle of nowhere, Podunk, with no access to Jewish people whatsoever, I might be willing to accept that maybe that person might not have known. But for the amount of Jewish people that Joe Biden knew, especially my grandparents, you know, because they worked on his campaigns, I maybe expect a little more of him. Which is also kind of like, you know, when I was being critical of the Louisiana liberals / leftists or whatever who wanted to not make it a crime to not disclose your STI infection status if you have an incurable STI, because it might make people less likely to get tested. Well, that still doesn't mean that if you know that you have the STI that you shouldn't tell them. I do feel that you know, perhaps that I hold my side to a higher standard, or our side to a higher standard, I should say, because I think better of my side than the other side. And I'm willing to maybe give a little bit more hand-holding to conservatives, but not to people who are that high up like Donald Trump either. Donald Trump wants to claim that he's, you know, that he never heard that. I call bullshit because A, he's a known anti-Semite who has said many other anti-Semitic things over the course of his career, which was why I was more shocked to hear it coming from Biden than to hear it coming from Trump. Still pissed me off.
Well,
but
look at his accountant, and how many times do you think he referred to him as a Shylock? Remember the guy that's sitting in jail right now? Mm-hmm. You know,
you also had the situation of where he basically was doubling down on it, where he said, you want the people with the yarmulkes counting your money, not black people. It's like, A, insulting black people, but B, perpetuating the idea, which makes it to me even less likely that he didn't know that Shylock is. I mean, you're in the middle of New York frickin' City, one of the largest Jewish communities that we have here in this country, and you don't know? Yeah, fuck you, Donald Trump. that's there's no way, but that he should have known.
You know, I mean, that's the thing. But that's the thing. He pretends to be dumb and naive and everything else. And the thing is that he's been around the block so many times it's not even funny. You know, I mean, he has cheated everybody and everything. I mean, he has more blood on his hands than anybody I know. I mean, he's literally trying to beat Hitler's blood count. You know, I mean, that's the thing. You know,
he'll do it. And he'll do it if Laura Loomer gets her way with all the alligator bait.
This is where I'm alarmed, because the thing is that if he manages to, as Malcolm Nance said, get an ICE army of over 100,000 people, you know, he's going to go from state to state with these people, and he's going to fucking, you know, turn every state into a gulag, you know, and it's going to be ridiculous and that's the thing, there won't be any food because all of it's going to rot out in the fields unless he's going to institute his other plan, which is basically to reinstate slavery, because he'll basically take the farm workers and say, oh, we'll sign them out to you, and when they're done picking your crop, we'll throw them back in jail, and then we'll, you know, leave them for a little while, and then unless something else comes up, then we'll deport them. You know, I mean, and it's going to be a one-time thing, you know, and then, I mean, because these idiots think that automation is going to replace these people, and it's like, are you out of your fucking mind? I don't know of any machine that's going to be able to pick strawberries or any of these other things, you know? I mean, all this automation stuff is fine for things like wheat and barley and that sort of thing, but it doesn't work within all the other crops, you know? You got to have hands to be able to pick which is right and what isn't, you know? And I mean, you know, like I said before, all Mexico has to do is say, you know what, let's find a different market, and we'll just starve the U.S. completely out of existence, because, you know, if they got no food and they fucked themselves because they wanted to play this game with this maniacal dictator, you know, let them pay the price, you know, because eventually what will end up happening is if enough people die, you know, people are going to hit the White House and they're going to drag his ass through the streets because, you know, it's going to be just like Gaddafi. Maybe that's what's got to happen, because, you know, I don't know what the other answer is. I mean, unless you basically make a stand now and make it known that if you're going to operate under the procedures that ICE is currently operating under right now, there's a good chance that you may not make it home to see your wife and kids at the next night.
Yep.
You know, and because that's what it's going to take, because he's got all the money now. The Republicans don't care. They're like, oh, well, you kill as many people as you want now. So basically, they signed the death warrant to all these immigrants who basically, you know, their only crime is existing. I mean, let's face it. They don't break the law. They contribute to society. They pay taxes with no recompense.
Right.
You know. So you tell me, who's the better American? You know? What crime did they commit other than helping subsidize?
Being brown people. That's the crime that they committed, because that's, you know, that's
that's just it, you know, and that's where you're at. And here's the thing, you know, I mean, I'm sure lots of them are thinking maybe we should go back to Mexico, but unfortunately, you know, Mexico doesn't have enough jobs to be able to take all these extra migrants in. So, you know, you're fucking yourselves playing this game, you know, and unless somebody makes it so that way enough of these ICE agents realize that they're going to be targets, and, you know, because I don't know what else to say. The military so far hasn't refused them the unlawful orders that they've been given. So what do you do now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it comes down to now. At least that's the way I see it right now, because they haven't refused these unlawful orders, and there hasn't been anybody that's stepped up so far to say, no, we won't do this. There's no Milley. There's no Kelly. There's no generals in the works. All you got is that shithead, you know, as the Department of Defense, who's a known drunk and, you know, a complete racist piece of shit as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I mean, I don't know where else to go with it at this point. You know, peaceful protest may be more effective than violent protest, but the question is that, you know, if you get to the point where you've lost everything and then decide to fight, it's too late.
Right. Well, that's why I was saying earlier in the show. I was talking about that earlier in the show about how at what point is enough for some people. Like, there are people out there who literally aren't going to want to act on anything and not want to call anything that these administration are doing as Nazis, not wanting to do anything, you know, to help stop this until we would get to 1944 Germany. But letting it get to 1944 Germany is well too late. You need to stop it at 1933 or before, and we are currently into and past 1933 Germany at this point. So the clock is ticking on how much time we have left to put a stop to this shit, and unfortunately, not enough people are there yet. I mean, we're there. I'm sure most people listening right now are there, but unfortunately, too many people are still trying to push back and either just outright wanting to bury their heads in the sand and deny that this administration is run by an anti-Semite and a whole bunch of anti-Semites, sycophants that are below him, or they don't want to pull the trigger and say, oh, this is close enough to Nazism that we need to actually not make the difference between the two, because they don't want to somehow be seen as, you know, being wrong. At this point, we need to make sure that it's stopped, and not enough people are there yet, and which is why everybody who would be threatened by such a thing should be terrified. So that's why I'm angry. That's why I get pissed off.
Well,
you know, at how
I hate
people
to
just
say it,
shrug
but maybe
and
it's
say,
time.
Go ahead.
Maybe it's time for people to exercise their Second Amendment and go out there and prepare for what needs to happen, because at this point, you guys are at a crossroads. If it goes much further than it already has, and he gets 100,000 white supremacists who are chomping at the bit to basically kill off any opposition and want to go to an authoritarian regime, you know, you guys are fucked if you let it get that far, you know.
Right.
And, you know, unless another country is going to come in and save you, I don't see where your savior comes in, because, you know, I'm sorry, Canada ain't going to come to save you. Right. You know, we got things figured out up here, and we got enough nutcases up here as well. You know, we don't need to get involved in your mess, because this is a mess of your own making. It's taken 50 fucking years, but it has happened. You've dumbed down the population that they don't know their civics. They don't understand all the benefits of government and democracy and everything else, and you're having it stripped away one feather at a time of the chicken. And, you know, but you're about halfway there right now, and he's only 6 months in. And that's my worry. He's only 6 months in, and he's already done this much damage. And he's only emboldened to do more. And the thing is
to be emboldened to do more as people just, you know, turn a blind eye to it or just refuse to see it for what it really is. And, you know, that's why I get louder and angrier every time.
Well, I do too. And that's the thing. I keep saying, what the fuck is it going to take? because, you know, I'm up here, I got nothing to lose. But you guys, I'm like, do you look in the mirror and realize that you're losing everything good and decent and, you know, the best of what America had to offer the world? Because that's the thing. Your reputation is in rags now. You know, the only thing waiting now is for someone to pour gasoline over you and burn you to ashes, because that's all that will be left of America by the time Trump is done with his 4-year term.
Right.
You know, and if he manages to impose martial law, there go the midterms, and then you're really fucked. You know?
Right, and the only reason he, I mean, the one thing I think that they wouldn't want the midterms moved or whatever, and I don't think, there was a rumor on social media that the big bastard bill or whatever had something that would allow for the cancellation of elections, and I don't think that's true. I think that's been debunked, although I don't trust the fact checkers anymore, because the fact checkers don't allow us to reach logical conclusions based on what the text says. So I would have to look into the claims more, because, you know, the fact checkers were stupid when it came to like the NOAA and the National Weather Service, and you looked at Project 2025 and you say, oh, it wants to do A, B, C, D, and the logical conclusion of A, B, C, D is E, that, you know, the NWS and NOAA will be fucked. And then all of a sudden, the fact checkers come and say, well, Project 2025 doesn't really say that they're going to do E. It just says A, B, C, or D. But we all know that if you do those 4 things, you're going to get the end result. So that's why I sometimes have a problem with the fact checkers. But as of right now, I've not yet been able to determine, you know, whether or not that's true. But the other thing is that the reason in that big bastardly bill or whatever that they pushed a lot of the changes to, you know, that will hurt people to 2027 is that they don't
because
want
they're
the
relying on the stupidity of the American public to not realize that this is the doing of Republicans, not Democrats.
Exactly.
And that's the thing.
It's the hurt. They don't want the people to feel the hurt until after they get reelected. So that's why they push it off to 2017, which is why we need a more bolder, stronger media to be able to say, this is coming, this is in this bill, you're going to get screwed, all you red staters who don't like Medicaid, who are still on Medicaid because you're hypocrites, you're going to get fucked, you're going to not be able to get treatment for your health conditions because they've now made all these Medicaid cuts in this bastardly bill, and, you know, what are you going to do? You don't have the time to fix it if you let them get back into office. Hell, probably not even enough time to fix it. There'll probably be at least a good 2 years, you know, until it could be fixed, because you could only retake, I think, the House. I don't think it's reasonable to suggest that the Senate could be retaken unless enough people realize how much pain is coming. But that would have to include enough Republicans, and I have no faith that you have enough Republicans to turn that thing around. But
that's the thing. Republicans basically decided, okay, it's time to kill off some people that I deem unworthy. And the thing is that that's what they did. They went in and they knowingly signed that bill, knowing that people were going to die, that people were going to lose their health care, people were going to lose their SNAP benefits. They willingly went in and did this, you know. And, you know, the problem is that, you know, unless you remove the top, the people who made these decisions, who signed off on all these things aren't going to change, and they're not going to change for the better. And, you know, and the problem also ends up being is that, you know, this has been planned out for 50 fucking years, you know.
Right.
This was the plan 50 fucking years ago when, you know, the civil rights legislation was put into place, when, you know, housing and Social Security came into effect, you know, when all these things that basically allowed people to live with some modicum of dignity as well as the ability to get ahead. And, you know, slowly but surely everything kept crumbling. You know, it started with Nixon, then it became Reagan, who went and made college and education unaffordable and decided, oh, the welfare queens, the blacks, you know. And it's like, You know, I mean, that's the whole thing.
Well, the thing is like, for example, you talked about the automation earlier.
They are shameless racists. They are shameless racists who blame everything on other people because they see white, stupid, poor people, and they tell them, oh, it's the blacks, it's the Mexicans, that's why you're so miserable. It's like, you know, and that's the thing. Yep. They're in the same boat as the poor white people, but the poor white people aren't smart enough to figure out that what the Republicans are telling them is bullshit, and that they're weaponizing their poverty against themselves and using it to, you know, to blame others and hurt people who actually make America work, you know, in a subsidized manner. Because let's face it, the only reason your groceries and your meat and everything else is affordable is because you've got labor force that is paid substandard wages that provide it for you.
Yep.
You know,
and then when you get automation, when you do get, you know, more automation going on, where more things can be done by machine instead of man, you know, the difference between, you know, the left and the right is that the left would be like, okay, well, let's think of ways to be able to deal with like a post-scarcity, you know, automated society to make sure that everybody can live, and the right's going to be like, well, if you can't generate enough money to support yourself, then just die. That's basically the difference. That's one of the main differences between the two. And they look at the fact that how, you know, such a thing would hurt black people disproportionately more than white people, and hurt, you know, Hispanic people disproportionately more than Caucasian folks. And
but it's a replay. They view that as a feature.
They view that as a feature and not a bug. They're like, oh, two birds with one stone. Less poors, less black people. And that's they'll be like, ooh, I'm sold.
Well, it's a replay of the slave plantation and the cotton gin revolution, you know? Mm-hmm. Oh, we don't need these people to pick the cotton and separate the seeds out of the cotton anymore. We got a machine that'll do that, you know? And that's what they're going to try and do again. You know, it'll only be the rich that'll be able to afford what's possible for whatever. And that's what they're all counting on the AI to do for them as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, TV2 Live agrees with me and says you need your own show as well. So, just to let you know, he said that in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, anyway. Listen, I gotta go back to work here. So, anyway, it was nice chatting with you again, Dan. I wish you and all the U.S. the best, but I don't really see good things happening in the future.
Nope.
That's just my opinion
as well. And I'm pessimistic about it without you calling in, and even more so now that you do call in. But there's good reasons for us to be pessimistic, because we're creating the dystopian hellscape that we should have avoided by rejecting Donald Trump outright. So anyway, go back to work. Thank you so much for calling in. Look forward to talking to you again on Wednesday, and you have a great rest of your night.
Take care, everybody. Happy birthday, Josh.
You have a good one. Bye. All right, we will give a few more minutes if anybody else does want to call in. 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261 if you want to call in and leave your comments, concerns, etc. I'd be more than happy to have you call in. If I don't hear anything by 10:15 my time, so about 4 more minutes, we'll probably go ahead and then end the show at that point. Let's see, Susie, I'm 13 years post-gastric bypass. Still have a hard time eating. That's okay, really, not crying, but I'm frustrated, emotional eating. I feel you a little bit in that the fact that with being on the Zepbound, if I eat too much, it is painful. Like I get punished if I eat too much. I get upset stomach. I have the sulfur burps. It's terrible. I do have a question for you, Susie, though. I don't know how much weight you lost on the bypass. I've been told, like, one of the reasons that my knee is hurting more than before, even though I've lost the 120 that I've lost already, is because your body is so used to having to deal with your weight as it is, that when you lose the weight, you're no longer adjusting for your weight, and therefore it potentially causes you to have more pain. And I have a friend of mine who went through bariatric surgery recently. She's lost 60 pounds already, and she's starting to feel knee pains as well. So I'm wondering, wow, you lost 250 pounds. That's amazing. But did you start having knee pain at some point because your body was no longer having to adjust, and as such, it got your knees all out of whack, or did that not happen to you as well? Just trying to see. I don't know. Stephanie, gotta go. Trying to get bed ready for my surgery. That will be me Wednesday night, because it's not necessarily surgery that I'm having, but it's a procedure that I'm having, i.e. I'm having a laser to go pew a kidney stone that's 8 millimeters inside my kidney. And yeah, Impeccable Living says, wait, thanks for well, no, that's Big Hook. Impeccable Living says, hey gang, I got distracted by boy gay stuff.
Oh my.
There you go. So obviously I had to do that. But what was I saying? Yeah, so I'm having a laser going up the difficult way to get to the kidney, to go pew at 8 millimeter kidney stone that's in me, and you might want to, if you're shocked or whatever, I'll share this part as well, even though it's like, ugh. It actually makes me go, ugh. It's still this fine. So hold your ears for about 15 seconds if you don't want to hear something, ugh, starting now. Apparently there's going to be a stint that goes up there between, in the ureter to make sure that everything can flow properly, and there'll be a string that is hanging out that 3 days later or so I will have to pull out manually. Ugh, I am not looking forward to that, although my wife says she wants to pull it out, and I'm like, no, you'll have to way too much fun with that. Anyway, so Impeccable Living, would you also want to volunteer for pulling something out? Sorry. Good luck with your procedure, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining us. Kelly, I have to lose weight because of my knees. I'm also tall. That's the thing, though. If you lose weight, you still might have worse knees, and that's the weird thing. But it's weird though. It's the timing of it wasn't like when I hit 40 or 50 or 60 pounds. The timing of my knee hurting worse than it did before was me telling the doctor, yes, let's go ahead and schedule the knee surgery, because that's August 14th. That's next month. So I have the kidney stone thing Thursday, and then I have the left knee replacement the next month, and then 90 days afterwards I get my right knee replaced. So Impeccable Living, I'm totally a wimp when it comes to medical stuff. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm still like about it, but I have other concerns about it that I'm not going to discuss on the air. Biological concerns of anyway, I'm not going to go into all that, but Jeff Curry, I might be having a third heart surgery. Big deal. They will hate dealing with me. How would they hate dealing with you? Although, I wish you better. Wish you do well. What's up, Kevin? Sneaks up by Kimchi. I think I saw you come in earlier. I didn't say hello earlier, but Susie, my spine was broken before again, so I'm in a chair for the most part. Fair enough. Sorry to hear that, but it makes sense. Let's see. Much love. Got to eat some beans. Peace out for now, Lever. Yeah, I only had popcorn today, so I have to eat when I'm done, because it was getting later and later and later, and then I realized, oh, I need to put together the words of redneck wisdom and make sure I have everything else available. So we'll go ahead and I basically was like, I'll just have some popcorn before the show, and then I'll eat my real dinner after the show. So Donna Lear, I hated this song "Short People" because I am short. Short people got no reason. I'm sorry. If you'd hate it, I shouldn't sing it, right? And I was worried, though. I was actually a little worried about my kidney thing, simply because of the fact that when I went on the Tuesday, 2 days before my wife was getting out of the hospital from her long hospital stay, I had to go into the emergency room because I thought I had a kidney stone. And while I did have one in my kidney, it wasn't anywhere near the ureter. So, they basically was like, well, if things get worse, let us know. But basically they thought that my back pain was musculoskeletal. So, which is, interesting. But, I've obviously have been doing a lot of adjusting to deal with my, my knees hurting. So maybe the strain currently in my back right now, my lower right back, could be that. But it could also be, the kidney stone getting closer and closer to needing to be removed, and I was concerned that it might happen early. So I'm just going to say, if for some reason I'm not on the air on Wednesday, it's because I went into the hospital early, and of course I will let the appropriate people know about that. But let's see, pull the string, let her do it, Dan. Come on, man. Are you being paid, David, by my wife to say that? Thank you, Stephen, for being a wild Danimal for 7 months. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Welcome to being an android. I'm an amputee. Wow. I have a friend of mine online that I met on Facebook or whatever. She actually is a double leg amputee, I think at the knees. Fortunately, she has a good enough sense of humor where when I called her Lieutenant Dan, she laughed, but that's a good thing. I'm sure I would call myself Lieutenant Dan if that ever happened to me as well, but I am Dan as opposed to other people. But yeah, I am would love to. It was supposed to happen earlier. The knee surgery was actually supposed to be not this Thursday, but next Thursday. But then I have a concert to go to on the second floor of a building with no elevator. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to attend that concert. So we're going to push it back a couple weeks just to make sure I can still enjoy the concert before getting my knee surgery done. So, let's see. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it. Casey and the Sunshine Band paid. Nope, me nope. Do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight. Anyway, so it is 10:18, so we are going to go ahead and shut down the phone lines. I guess nobody else is going to call in, but we've had 4 callers today, so that was great. That was good. Big Hook and 3 others. So thank you all, everyone, for calling in. Thank you, everybody who liked and shared and commented on all of the on the videos. And please make sure to do that again. I'm sure some point soon I will have at least the first song in the Tom Lehrer reimagined playlist. I actually have created, while Big Hook was talking, I was multitasking and I created 2 images for that. So I should have at least 2 of them ready to go, and then maybe I'll make some more, and maybe we'll be able to release another one for the next show as well. But thank you everyone for watching. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, interact with as many videos as possible. Get the algorithm going, because Al Gore needs more rhythm. We will end the show like we normally do by playing a couple of the songs that we end the show with. Starting off, I guess, with maybe the Baby Incubator first, or maybe we'll just do the the Tom Lehrer ones again as we're going out, and then followed up by something else. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, thank y'all so very much. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Peace.
Spring is here, suffering is here. Life is Skittles and life is beer. I think the loveliest time of the year is the spring. I do, don't you? Of course you do. But there's one thing that makes spring complete for me. It makes every Sunday a treat for me. All the world sings in tune on a spring afternoon when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. Every Sunday you'll see my sweetheart and me as we poison the pigeons in the park. When they see us coming, the birdies all try and hide, but they still go for peanuts when coated with cyanide. The sun's shining bright, everything seems alright when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. We've gained notoriety and caused much anxiety in the Audubon Society. With our games, they call it impiety and lack of propriety, and quite a variety of unpleasant names. But it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon. So if Sunday you're free, why don't you come with me and we'll poison the pigeons in the park? And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or 2 while we're poisoning pigeons in the park. And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or 2 while we're poisoning pigeons in the park.
We'll murder them all amid laughter at merriment, except for the few we take home to experiment. My pulse will be quickening with each drop of strychnine. Me feed to a pigeon, it just takes a smidgen to pens and a pigeon in the park. To a pigeon, it just takes a smidgen to poison a pigeon in the pack. When someone makes a move of which we don't approve, who is it that always intervenes? You and NOASA have their place, I guess, but first send the Marines. We'll send them all we've got, John Wayne and Randolph Scott. Remember those exciting fighting scenes to the shores of Tripoli, but not to Mississippi. What do? We send the Marines. For might makes right until they've seen the light. They've got to be protected, all their rights respected, till somebody we like can be elected. Members of the Corps all hate the thought of war. They'd rather kill them off by peaceful means. Stop calling it aggression. Ooh, we hate that expression. We only want the world to know that we support the status quo. They love us everywhere we go. So when in doubt, send Marines. They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds, treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake, but the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect, but they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap, rights roll back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still, just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just state-owned pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright, cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace, and those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan Radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan Radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Full patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.